For years, I lived with this faint, stubborn little cough. I thought it was just a minor throat irritation, nothing worth worrying about. A harmless little habit my body had picked up along the way, but I was completely wrong. My body was sending me a message I wasn't ready to hear, and when I finally listened, my whole life fell apart. This is the story of how something I ignored ended up changing everything. Just a few years ago, my life was running like clockwork. I was 34, working as a freelance graphic designer and living fully. My days were packed with deadlines, yes, but also with weekend hikes, late nights with friends, and training for my second 10K race. I thought of myself as healthy, strong, untouchable even. Life was a checklist, and I was ticking every box. And then there was the cough. It didn't strike suddenly like lightning. It was more like a whisper. A faint, dry cough after a long call. A little throat clearing first thing in the morning. I barely even noticed it. When my partner pointed it out the first time, I shrugged. "It's just allergies," I said. "Probably. The city pollution." It was easy to explain away because it seemed so small. In my colorful, noisy life, it was just background noise. 3 months later, it was still there, my quiet companion. Not painful, not even disruptive, just nagging. Finally, my partner convinced me to see a doctor, just to rule things out. Sitting in the clinic, I felt silly, like I was wasting the doctor's time. I explained my symptoms. This faint, scratchy cough. The doctor listened, nodded, looked at my throat, pressed his stethoscope against my back for maybe 30 seconds. "It sounds like postnasal drip from allergies," he said, scribbling a prescription. "I'll give you a nasal spray. Take something for acid reflux now and then. Sometimes that causes habits like this." And that was it. No tests, no deeper questions. Just an easy answer, and I took it without hesitation. I felt relieved. Isn't that the danger of being human? We believe the simplest explanation, because it demands the least from us. Allergies were easy. It meant I could get back to my life, my training, my work. The doctor had labeled my symptom as minor, which gave me permission to believe it was minor. In hindsight, it was a kind of medical gaslighting, though I didn't know that term back then. I was told it was nothing, and I wanted it to be nothing, so I believed it. For the next year, I lived with the cough. I used the nasal spray, tried the meds. Nothing changed. The cough stayed, a low hum of wrongness that I was getting better and better at tuning out. I still ran my race, finished projects, lived my life. But ignoring something doesn't make it go away. It only gives it room to grow. The change was gradual, until it wasn't. That faint throat tickle grew into a real cough, fits that came, in bursts. And then I heard something new. A faint wheeze when I exhaled after coughing. Then came the weakness. Not ordinary fatigue. This was different. A bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep could fix. It felt like carrying a heavy blanket on my body all day. My morning runs got harder, then became short walks, then stopped altogether. I stopped going out with friends, not because I didn't want to, but because just putting on shoes to leave. The house felt like climbing a mountain. My world, once wide and alive, began to shrink, and the fear I'd been pushing down started to rise. I went to another doctor. This time, I laid it all out. A year-long cough, wheezing, crushing fatigue. He listened, and then spoke the words I'll never forget. "You're young and healthy. This is probably just anxiety. Anxiety can show up in physical ways too." He suggested yoga. I walked out of that clinic broken, ashamed. When an expert doesn't believe you, it's an isolating kind of pain. You start to doubt your own sanity. Am I imagining this? Am I being dramatic? It's the frustration every patient knows when something is wrong, but the expert says, "It's all in your head." I tried to believe him. Really, I did. But my body wouldn't let me. The turning point came a month later. I had a violent coughing fit, so intense it wouldn't stop. Bent over the sink, gasping for air, I suddenly tasted metal. I spat, and there it was, a streak of bright red blood. In that moment, all the denial, all the excuses that it was just allergies or just anxiety shattered. The whisper had become a scream. There was no ignoring it now. The very next morning, I was back at the doctor's office. This time, I didn't ask. I demanded, "You are ordering me a chest x-ray today." My voice didn't shake. I wasn't the patient who could be brushed off anymore. I was fighting for my life. He looked startled, but he agreed. And as I walked to the imaging center, deep down I already knew. My life as I had known it was over. The next day, the call came. Gone was the receptionist's cheerful tone. Her voice was heavy. "The doctor wants to see you today to discuss your x-ray." Going back to that clinic was the longest walk of my life. In the exam room, even the crinkle of the paper beneath me sounded too loud. The doctor came in, but he didn't look me in the eye. He went straight to the screen. It was obvious even to me. My left lung was clear, but my right lung, a shadow. Dark, large, undeniable. Finally, he faced me. "We need to schedule a CT scan and a biopsy immediately," he said. "The pulmonologist will call you." He still didn't say the word, but it hung heavy in the room. Cancer. The next weeks blurred with appointments, scans, needles, and then the confirmation, stage 3, non-small cell lung cancer. The diagnosis was so shocking, so surreal, that it felt like it was happening to someone else. I was healthy, active, a non-smoker. The idea that this could happen to me was something both I and my doctors had dismissed. In an instant, my old identity was gone. I wasn't a designer, a runner, or a weekend adventurer anymore. I was a cancer patient. My life, once measured in deadlines and dinner plans, was now measured in chemo cycles and radiation appointments. Treatment was brutal. Some days the fatigue was so crushing I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. There was nausea, pain, and the surreal experience of watching my own hair fall out. And yet within that suffering, there was a strange clarity. The old noise of life, the petty worries, the unnecessary stress, fell away. My world narrowed to a few essentials: my partner's love, my family's support, and the raw instinct to fight for every next breath. It's been 2 years since the diagnosis. Treatment worked, and I'm in remission now. But there's no such thing as going back to normal. My life is permanently divided into before and after. The fear of recurrence is always there, and the treatments left their marks. I still have the cough, radiation's reminder, a quiet echo of what I've been through. But this new reality isn't just about loss. Strangely, it's about gaining something too. Before, I ignored my body. I tuned out the signals it tried to send me. Now, I listen to everything. I've learned that ignoring physical symptoms often mirrors ignoring emotional needs too, and that pattern can be devastating. I found a new purpose. My focus has shifted from pixels and Pantones to advocacy, to telling this story, because if you're feeling something similar, if you have a lingering symptom you're brushing off, or worse, your doctor is brushing off, here's what I want to say. You are not alone. You are not crazy. You know your body better than anyone. Listen to it. Fight for it. Demand to be heard. Your life may depend on it. I used to drown in the what-ifs. What if I'd gotten the eye x-ray sooner? What if that first doctor had taken me seriously? But I've learned that looking back in regret only steals the time I still have. What I ignored almost cost me everything, but it also stripped life down to its barest truths. It taught me how vital it is to fight for yourself, and how resilient we can be. My life now is quieter, slower, more intentional. But it is richer too, and I am more present than I've ever been. In the end, I learned the lesson my body had been trying to teach me all along. Listen. And that has made all the difference.